So, today on this episode of our podcast, we're going to be talking about social work intervention in the police force, specifically how social workers can help in crisis situations. So, I'm Faith, my co host here is Kylie, and we've invited Chief Cliff Black from the SVSU Police Department to talk about his experience and what he would like to see involving social workers in the police force. And we also have a couple of students, Brad and Ebony, who have some questions that they'd like to ask as well.
Fantastic. Sounds good.
Yeah, so like Faith said, my name is Kylie and I'm going to be co-hosting with Faith. So we're just going to kind of guide the students through with their questions for Chief and then give Chief some time to answer each of the questions. So Chief, if you want to give a brief introduction about yourself.
Cliff Block, been in law enforcement now for a little over 30 years. Spent most of my career at Midland, Michigan Police Department, and then moved over to SVSU Police Department back in 2019. So looking forward, I've always thought that obviously the response by law enforcement to mental health has been an issue for some time, those persons with mental health issues, and certainly want to do what we can to help mitigate that the best for everybody, keep everybody safe.
Perfect, thank you. So Brad, if you want to go first and bring up one of your questions first, we can start there.
Okay. I think the first question I have that might be fitting to this, and I wrote this as, I imagine this isn't going to be a simple question to answer, but how can social workers assist police? Do we supplement the officer in speaking to a perpetrator? Do we kind of like divide in a circumstance and talk to different groups? What do we see that works?
So when I think about the model, I was thinking of Bradley, and I may be off on this a little bit. So I was looking at it from the perspective of the mental health crisis that we deal with mostly, and having people come in and help us with these situations where we have individuals, like I say, in a crisis event or have just come out of a crisis event. Are you gearing it towards that, or are you gearing it more broadly than that?
I think I'm perfectly comfortable about talking about either, because I know
Okay.
there's multiple circumstances where social workers in police could be involved, but it sounds
hmm
like you're thinking primarily from a mental health perspective. So it's a lot more maybe one person involved and then police and or social work.
It could be. It also could be, the aspect of the victims' rights individuals too that we could deal with that have the social work background, but also are involved in victims' rights. So, it can go both directions. But the one that's been really critical as of late and has been really a big topic of discussion has been with the mental health aspect and how do we, handle that, and how do we incorporate social workers with that background in mental health into the law enforcement realm as well to help mitigate those situations. There's a really good teams doing such a thing. I know that Oakland County has got one. Some departments came together and put together a coalition, and they actually work directly with people that have got the social work degree and, obviously a focus on the mental health wellness aspect of it. And they're there. The good part of this program is they're there for both the individual perpetrator, you want to call them, or what it may be, the person in crisis, but they're also there for the officer, depending on what the event might be. And that's really a co-responder model where they actually are outfitted in gear, they listen to police radios, and they will respond to certain incidents based on whatever that call might be. Obviously, someone in crisis, they're going to respond to that. Of course, wait till the officer has the situation safe enough for them to show up and to assist potentially, or even like a major traffic crash or a fatality of other types, a homicide, whatever it may be. They'll also assist responding once the area is safe to respond, to assist the family that may show up to that fatal crash, or to the family that's going to be present during the homicide situation, or a suicide, even a suicide situation as well, to be there for both. It could be something that was very traumatic to the officer. Think of a fatal crash involving a young child. All fatal crashes are bad, but when you've got a young child involved, it certainly can sometimes create a different response from law enforcement, especially if they got children the same age, that kind of thing. So is there for both purposes, and I think that's a really great model to work with in the future. Unfortunately, it comes down to funding and availability to do such a thing. But that's something I'm really intrigued in and think is an excellent opportunity to commingle and partner with workers and law enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, Ebony, do you want to move on to your first question? I think we're just going to jump back and forth between you and Brad with asking questions.
Okay, sounds good. So yes, Chief, I do have a question. My first question is, what kind of crisis do social workers help with the most with the police department?
Well, again, folks, I guess focusing back on what I just talked about, I think that one is the one you're seeing the most right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's been such a push on that for the last probably 5 years, especially. It started probably a decade ago. But in the last 5 years, and even in the last couple of years, it's really gained some momentum in incorporating either right in the agency themselves, directly in the agency, or doing this other co-responder model where they're an outside entity and they're responding to assist law enforcement. So really it comes down to, because we are not, we get training in responding to people in crisis. And I think there's some really good training out there, but that's not really our area of expertise.
Okay.
Where people come on the social work aspect with a background in dealing with people in crisis and mental health, I think really has been a great benefit to us as of right now. I think that's one area for sure. And again, you can go back to the victims' rights stuff too, and dealing with having to have situations where children are, in situations where the family dynamic might not be the best. Obviously,
Wow.
social work could help in that area as well, with navigating that arena for us too. But really, the real focus right now is really on that aspect of that response. And I think and from what I hear from talking to other students in this area, is that there's really a great interest in being more engaged with assisting law enforcement in their field work, and how can they do that? So,
Wow.
with that one being, like I said, the one being the real critical one right now that we're engaged in an area that we aren't experts in, and then sometimes, just being there in uniform can be enough to make people not have the best response. And some departments have gone to a less official looking uniform per se. You're not wearing the typical outer gear. You're more subdued than what you might call the subdued uniform. So it doesn't look the same. It gives a different response sometimes to people that are
Right.
in crisis. And you may know all this stuff from your studies and your work as well, but there's been a lot of talk about that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. And then going forward off of that, Brad, did you have another question to kind of add on to that?
Honestly, I think it naturally leads into it. Chief, you talked about training, and I
Mhm.
think we have two questions in relation to this. And one of those is, since we're social workers, or at least students, what kind of trainings would we benefit from to competently work with police or officers?
That's a great question. I think probably just kind of like let's say a basic understanding of what we do, what our role is, and what our responsibilities are, and why we do the things that we do. So I know a lot of departments now have got what they've called police academies out there. It's for citizens to go to. So you get a citizens academy you can go to, and you get an idea of what the police work is and what we do and deal with. Normally, it can be anywhere between a 6 week and a 10 week program where you go once a day for that period of time. It's normally like a 2 to 3 hour, maybe a 4 hour type of session type of thing. But a lot of agencies are doing stuff like that now. And if you could incorporate yourself into your community that has one of those programs, that would be a great opportunity to get a better idea of what law enforcement does. Besides that, of course, you got the college education, you got the college class you could attend to get a good understanding of what law enforcement is all about. Might be a good opportunity too. I really like the idea of the Assistance Academies, though, that really it's built for, people that don't do police work, don't have plan on doing police work, but want to know more about police work. It really is, I think, a really good bridging tool too, to get a better understanding of what our job entails. Because we all work together, the prosecutors, the court system, the jails, the police department, all work together. And then of course, if they've got the model in place already, where they've got the corresponding with the mental health session or the social work section, then you'll get a little bit of insight into that too. We all work together. So that would be my recommendation. If your community has that, I'd highly recommend going to it. It is I said, it's one day out of your day per week for a number of weeks. But it's not a hard task if you can make that work. And they're normally in the evening. So normally, I can't say that for all, but that's what I've seen in my circles.
That sounds really cool. It's immersive as well as informational, so a little more experience.
Absolutely. And they'll do demonstrations for you, they'll do videos for you, they'll walk you through, they'll take you on tours, to get a better understanding of what the site looks like, why they've got things a certain way, why they do things the way that they do things. Some of the concerns that we have involve safety. One thing I always tell people, and the same thing for you guys really too, if you're in social work and you respond to something like this, you never know who you're dealing with. You never know what their intentions are, quite frankly, until sometimes it could be too late. So it's just something, we never know when we're making a traffic stop, we never know who we're stopping. Did that person just commit a major crime? Or, we pull up on a motorist assist, which happens way too often. You pull up motorist assist. Did that person just do something really heinous somewhere, and now you're there behind them, and now you're a threat to them? And all you stopped there was to help them out because their car broke down. So you just never
Right.
know.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question if Ebony wants to ask a final question.
Yes. So my final question would be, Chief, and I believe that you probably have kind of hit it on it just a little bit, but maybe you can go a little deeper in this part. What kind of training or support do officers receive to work effectively alongside social workers during a crisis?
So a lot of the training we get normally, Ebony, right
Mhm.
now has been more geared to the law enforcement response.
Okay.
And not really that co-responder response yet. So and there might be some out there. I have not seen a lot of that yet, but that might be something we have to start developing, is how do we respond together to this type of stuff? The training we get normally is like the first aid training. We get the just law enforcement response to people in crisis. We get the crisis intervention training, which the CIT training, the 40-hour class, that does talk a little about, engaging your profession and our profession together and having those connections made, but not how we respond together may not be part of that. So that would be something that probably needs to be developed more yet. It's a
Okay.
great idea, Ebony. It's a great idea, but I got a whole list of trainings that we went through, and I could pull those together for somebody if they needed it for response to people in crisis. But it's been law enforcement focused perspective of responding to that person in crisis, not a partnered response at the actual event itself. So that's something that probably needs to be developed more.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is out there, I've not seen it yet, but I'll definitely keep my eyes open to it because it's a great idea to have more of that. And
Okay.
even here at the university, we have worked with our mental health and wellness center, and we have co-responded before together during certain instances. We haven't trained together per se, but we've responded together. So it's something that I think is definitely a worthy topic.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm to the sake of time, just a little bit of, I wanted to speak on this. I'm sure that you guys were trained in how to de-escalate any situations that may arise, like how to stay calm under pressure, avoid triggering aggressive behavior.
Absolutely. That's definitely something we get trained on, is de-escalation techniques. And
Okay.
trying to use time to your benefit, when you can, time and verbal, a lot of talking, talk to
Yes,
people,
sir.
try to use them by their first name,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And that was
I,
my last question. I'm
do
sorry,
I
go
have a
ahead.
chance? Do I have a chance for a question or not, Faith and Kyle? I don't know if we're out of time already. Do I have a chance or not?
If you want to ask a question, go for it.
So my only question would be, from based on what your experiences so far and in your education and what you've learned, what do you want to see from law enforcement?
Oh, that's a good question. Are you asking me, Chief?
I'm asking both of you. So if you're unmuted already, so I guess you're first.
Okay, I would say, Well, I would say okay, so I had oh, wait, Chief, you that's a good question. Um, I would say so I did have a cousin who had had like a mental health crisis.
Mhm.
And that this is in Tennessee. And so when the police came, he didn't know how to properly de-escalate the situation, and it kind
Sure.
of got a little aggressive. So I would say basically what we were just talking about, just having that more training. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Sure. Absolutely understandable.
Yeah, so I would just say maybe in that area, just kind of having more training in that area. I can't speak for Saginaw because I haven't worked in the field yet here.
Right.
So, but in due time, Chief, I'll be able to come back and give you a little bit more information.
Well, and feel free. I'm always open and available. So if you got anything that pops in your mind after this even, and you still want to ask the questions, please feel free to ask me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. You betcha.
I'll try to respond quickly because I know we're running out of time. Um, I'm I am a crisis social worker. That's what I do for my career. I work for community mental health.
Oh,
And
great.
I'll stand with the chief on generally stating just better integration would be beneficial for everyone. Um, I know that we find sometimes as police go about their business, there's just separation points that make it difficult for us to coordinate and provide like good care for everyone involved. And it's not the
Mhm.
fault of officers and it's not the fault of mental health workers. It's the fault of there being gaps within a system. Minimum, I know we do crisis critical incident stress management stuff where we do coordinate with officers.
Absolutely. And we have a CISM trained officer on our staff as well too. So I would love you.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate all your insight through
You
this.
bet. Stay hydrated.
Yes, sir. It was nice meeting you, Chief.
You as well. You as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yep.